Good evening, folks. Welcome to Northeast Truth Radio, hosted by TNS Radio. This is Mike Cooper. Visit us online at northeasttruth.com and visit our hosts at tnsradio.ning.com. There's a chat room in there also. Due to our guests' time commitments, tonight's show was recorded a few hours ago and will go till around 10 to 11. When we'll hopefully hear an update about the Freeman Eco Village in London from Dominic. Tonight's guest has been researching and speaking to people about the basics of trust, equity and operating in the commercial world. He's also a bricklayer of 25 years and was a double World Championship silver medalist winner in Shaolin, China in the martial art of Wushu. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Peter Cooney.
Hello, Mike.
Hello. How are things?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent. Nice to speak to you again.
Yep.
Where shall we start? Anything you want?
Okay. Can I ask how many people this is out to, roughly? Do you have any idea?
There's usually at least 12 or 13 countries listening, and we normally have...
I didn't realise it was international like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, there's many countries, but even in one chat room, in the Freeman Island chat room on TNS, there's usually anywhere between, say, 30 and 50, 60, sometimes more. And then obviously all of the other different groups that have the plug-in for the chat room and the radio plug-in, they've got all of those listeners on there as well. Plus, obviously, the podcasts are replayed, uploaded for even more listeners. So it's going out to quite a lot of people in several different countries.
Amazing. Okay, well, I'll start with that then.
Excellent.
Okay. Do you know who the Crown are?
The Crown, I would say, which Crown? I suppose you could look at the city, as in the square mile, or the Crown as in the Queen.
Well, the Crown is not the Crown Jewels, per se. The Crown is a corporation soul, what's known as a corporation soul, which is a trust. And it was basically the Pope, or Constantine, I think it was, Emperor Constantine, laid claim, by the way of Christianity, laid claim to the world for God. And then you've got different branches then of all the churches.
Yeah.
And the branch known as the Jesuits, they are like the military arm of the Vatican.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. So the Crown in the Vatican said to the King of England, King John, do you want to look after all the affairs for the Crown? And he said, yeah, sound. So, there was a bit of this and that over the years, because I think, there's always power struggles. And basically England still hold the title of trustee for the Crown, which is God's claim on everything.
Yeah. So basically the Crown are looking after it on behalf of God, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah. Now, for them to operate, everything that they do inside of their corporation is internal affairs.
Okay.
And every nationalised industry, every company that's registered at like UK or whichever country it is, are all registering as bodies of the Crown in some capacity.
Okay.
So at that juncture, a lot of people have, including myself, have been looking into, what the birth certificate represents.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, well, that basically represents a corporation that the corporation soul, the Crown, can interface with.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no means for interface with the person. So, would you say that that person is you?
Yeah, there's a lot of our listeners will be up on the sort of the legal fiction, the legal person side of things, where obviously the flesh and blood man can't go into contract with a corporation, so they need to be represented by a legal fiction such as the legal person. And I know at first people obviously made out that the all capital letters name is the legal fiction, and it's one of the main ways that's used for people to interact with each other.
Well, what you said there is that the man needs an artificial person to deal with the crown. But is that strictly true?
Good question. It shouldn't be true. It shouldn't have to be that way, I would say. I mean, from, like I say, my research in this area sort of stopped at some point last year. So just now getting back into it now, if someone was to say to me, well, do you need a legal fiction to operate in commerce? Then I would say no. I would hope that we could still create sort of private agreements between flesh and blood entities.
Would that be commerce?
It would, I expect, wouldn't it? If you were, if you were providing, say, I don't know, say you're a bricklayer, and you the man down the road or the woman down the road wanted you to build a wall. Maybe they could exchange a service with you, or maybe they could pay you with something valuable, such as gold, for example.
But you have to be careful there what you're doing, because you're naming things. So if you're saying that, a man down the road wanted to hire a bricklayer, is he hiring a bricklayer or is he hiring a man?
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. So if he's hiring a man working as a bricklayer, and it's kind of important to understand the word as.
Yeah.
There's about 30 pages in Blacklaw's Dictionary 8th edition on the word as. So that all denotes fiction then, which is trade, which is commerce.
Okay.
But if I worked as a bricklayer for 25 years, if you asked me to build you a wall, and I said, okay, let's build a wall, now how are you going to affect payment?
I would ask you before we started what you would like for doing me the favour or the job, I guess.
Well, that's more like barter, isn't it, rather than...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So every time that anyone uses the Queen's notes, which are promises to pay...
That's it.
They're more of a... you're more in commerce then, because you've actually entered into the public domain by using those financial instruments, like...
Yeah, completely.
Which belong to someone, they're not, they haven't been abandoned or nothing. They've got someone's signature on and they've got someone's face on.
That's it.
And they represent something, so you're now entering into their system by doing that, and you come under their jurisdiction.
Right, yeah.
So if you said to me, will you build a wall? And I'm like, well, can you give me, a tub of blackberries and some apples and some meat and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Then we're not necessarily doing commerce, because we're not using any money for exchange.
That's right, yeah.
We're using like for like value.
Completely.
Or even commodities. We're just exchanging commodities, which is more like bartering. And it's all private, it's all outside of state control.
Which is all public, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's all private. Okay. It's only when you start using the public stuff.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, if you gonna do the bricklaying yourself, and you went to someone's house, and then you've done the bricklaying, and then they said, oh, you know, here's some payment, and you go, well, that's not actually payment, because that's gonna increase the, you know, the public debt, which me as a taxpayer is gonna have to pay on increased taxes. So it kind of defeats the object of payment. I'm not getting any payment in return. So if I said to you, like, you know, give me a couple of chickens or a goat or something like that, I've now got an infinite means to return something to me, you know.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, because I can always feed the chickens, and I can always feed the goats, and they're always going to give me return.
Completely, I understand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, there's going to be a lot of listeners out there that know the basics, or they've listened to a lot of shows on TN. Possibly even with Batman. I heard there was a show on last night, so I haven't heard that. I don't know what it was about, and I've never heard any of his audios. But from obviously some recommendations in your own, it sounds definitely worth getting into.
Yeah. I mean, we're moving towards that, and I've spoke with Batman a lot, and Boris, who were both on the show, and Tel.
Yeah.
And they do have a very deep understanding of law, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the conclusion that Batman come to after studying it for 20 years is that the Crown owns everything, including the person.
Right. So
how can there be any liability to the man?
Right.
It's all internal.
So as opposed to us trying to take title, trying to claim title of the person as ours, is he saying that we should basically abandon it completely?
Yeah, it's nothing to do with us, it's all internal.
Mm.
All they're doing is just accounting for stuff with a name on, like, you know, it's just like warehouse, stockpiling or accounting, you know.
That's it. So, I mean, what got you started in studying things like trust and commercial redemption?
I watched a little bit of Robert Menard after I came out of work, and I came out of work over a contractual issue, where I'd actually managed to stay in work because I'd been promised 9 months work, and the guy tried to chop it down to 6 months.
Yeah.
I said, no, we've got a contract for 9, you know, even though it was verbal.
Yeah.
And he backed down, and it was 9 months to the day, and I got finished up, and I was like, wow, you know, I kind of acted in my own capacity as being, you know, like a lawmaker and a peacemaker as well. And that kind of struck me. And then I watched a little bit of Rob Menard, and I was going, wow, you know, that's some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So checked it all out and come up with some of the Winston stuff, and was playing around with that, and, you know, getting mixed results, and getting in touch with people who were doing similar stuff. And then I came across Greg Gentry. I don't know if you've...
Greg Gentry?
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar.
He's on commercialremedies.com.
Okay.
And he was running talk show audios and everything, and he had a few guests on, and he, you know, and he had it down to a fine art, like, about contract law, always, you know, operating in contract law, where's the contract, and fictions and all like that. And he was getting good results. Then, next thing, he got a few visits off the Secret Service and got incarcerated for an unlimited time, unspecified unlimited time, and ended up in jail for 6 months.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And he done a habeas corpus. Now, habeas corpus takes, on average, 6 months, you know, to take effect.